Da, 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 da. What a banger.
Hello, and welcome to Spoiler Alert, with me, your host Ned, my co-host Kyle,
Hey, how are you doing?
and our special guest for today, who is Jacob.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about the big three at the E3 press conference.
Ooh, exciting.
Oh
Indeed.
boy.
Yes, E3 happens once a year, the biggest gaming convention in the world.
Full of many
So,
surprises and many disappointments.
Oh, very, very much so. But we'll get into that in the first half. This first half will be comprising of the big three of Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, not in that order, but you know. And in the second part, we will be talking about the other big game publishers like Ubisoft and Square Enix and EA. So
Yeah. I mean, we could start talking about EA, but I think we're gonna have to charge people
Yeah.
for a loot box to hear the rest.
yeah, the second episode. The second episode is coming out as a DLC to this episode.
$15.99.
Yeah, we're gonna charge a full price for it.
We'll start off with Microsoft's. Although, really, I don't really have an Xbox. I think their conference this year, I've got to give them credit. Their conference this year was fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I agree.
Like the way that I see it is that even though I wasn't really a full-on Xbox player until like just this year when I recently got my Xbox One, what always sort of really got me coming to Microsoft was really just the third-party titles they show off, because even when they don't obviously have a lot of exclusives, they still have so much to introduce, and there's always that sort of general excitement really seeping into it all, really.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, and even with Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, when you compare him to all the other heads like Reggie Fils-Aimé or whoever the hell that runs Sony, he's just sort of a very charming and really great presence overall. He never really feels nervous or stilted. He always knows what he has to say, and at the end of the day, just like any other head of any company, he just cares about the gamers, really, and that's really great, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's certainly likable. I enjoyed the show. I thought they put on the best show. They didn't have a lot to show in terms of actual exclusives, but we did get some cool stuff like the Cyberpunk trailer at the end, which kind of broke my heart. So I was really hoping Watch Dogs 3 was about to get announced, but alas it didn't. But Just Cause 4 was a highlight for me. That looks pretty good. I probably won't buy it as a full price game for Christmas because they're all the same really, but it looks good. And another one I liked the look of as well was Metro Exodus. A little trailer come up for that, and that was pretty cool as well.
They introduced Gears of War terribly, mate, with the stupid Funko Pop crap.
Oh, that was just like amazingly bad. But then it just turned good, and I'm like, you guys got us. You branked us good. But then it delivered, so it's fair enough.
I mean, now that we're on the subject of exclusives, yeah, there weren't a lot of exclusives, but there was still quite a lot that got me interested.
Yes,
one of which was actually the DLC they've announced for Cuphead, actually.
Cuphead has been a fantastic game, one I've really, really liked from the past year. It's just the art style is so different. The gameplay is just, it works really well. The controls are fantastic. It's ridiculously hard. It is, as IGN would call, the Dark Souls of platformers.
It's such a fantastic game because even with how gorgeous it looks, it never holds your hand and it's a brutal as hell game, but it never really felt unfair. Yes, you die a lot, and yes, it's an extremely difficult game, but it's about learning patterns and seeing what's coming next and basically just getting good by practicing and practicing and practicing. And that's what makes it such a really great and worthwhile game. And you know what? I'm actually pretty damn excited to see this whole new world that they're introducing to it, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Cuphead's going to be one I've been meaning to pick up for a while, and I think when this DLC comes out, it's going to be one that's on my list, because I have played some of Cuphead, and I've enjoyed my time with it very much.
Might I also add with this new female character that's coming up that we're going to see some Rule 34 coming up?
Oh god, if that happens. Right. So yeah, they obviously they came out strong, as they always do. Last year they introduced the Xbox One X, and that was the first thing they announced at E3. This year it was a new Halo game.
Halo Infinite, is it called? I think it's his name. Yes. Yeah, I had Halo 3 and that was good. So,
I personally am not really into Halo, and I'm probably not the right one to judge or anything. I hope they like it, but ain't my thing, honestly. Guess that's kind of a given when you go into a Microsoft conference of all things, really.
Yeah, it's kind of what they're known for, really, is being like the shooter console, because over the past few generations, they've kind of been notorious for having very few exclusives and all of them being shooters.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest issues I've actually always had with Microsoft. even when they don't have a lot of exclusives, there's very little variety. I think last year with the introduction of Cuphead, and even this year with Sea of Thieves, they are showing that they want to improve and change, and that isn't a bad thing. And while we're on the subject here, I think they really are starting to better themselves, because oh my god, they've actually acquired 5 whole new developers.
That was absolutely mental. That really was. Like, they've made
massive name in there, wasn't there, as well?
Absolutely. They've made a whole new studio, and they've acquired a good few other really big ones as well. And that's just because they're sort of starting to get to grips with the idea that, we need more exclusives, guys. We need to stop being known as the Halo console.
Yeah. There was even some really good ones, like one that really stood out to me was actually Ninja Theory, and that was mainly because last year they put out one fantastic game, which was Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, and considering that game was so beautiful, so immersive, but at the same time it had the same, created artistic qualities and, graphical polish as something you'd see in a Quantic Dream game. It just shows how far independent gaming can go. And now that Microsoft have acquired it, I think there's a really great future for Ninja Theory, and I am pumped to see what they do there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's not like the biggest exclusive in the world, but like the Ori and the Blind Forest series is quite underrated, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're quite charming little games, digital kind of things, but they're really charming, and it reminds me of sort of old school platformers as well.
Those are platformers with some fantastic,
we need a new Rayman. Rayman Legends was actually really good, and Origins was really good as well.
I know it's never going to happen, considering it kind of sold like crap, but I really want another.
It's always on sale on the PS Store. I've never seen it not on offer.
But the Ori games for me, they're a platformer that have such character. They just ooze personality. Yeah. It's just such great to see something like that existing, really.
Yeah, actually, there was another developer that they acquired, which was Compulsion Games, who were actually releasing a game very soon called We Happy Few.
Okay. Oh, yes. And that game has been on early access for a bloody while now, but it's only just sort of recently being finished and being polished and stuff, and we have got a release date for it, like an official release date, so that's pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, there were a couple other exclusives. The only one that really sticks out into my mind was actually there being another Forza game.
Yeah, see, I'm a massive fan of racing games, me, so I like Need for Speed and that sort of thing. And that really stood out for me, sort of the seasons, and I'm not going to buy it because I've not got an Xbox One. But if I did, I perhaps would buy that actually, because that looks pretty cool.
I have zero interest in it, but at least it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's good.
If I did get an Xbox, which I'm very, very much considering, especially now, Forza would definitely be a series I'd be interested in.
They released a lot of them. think they released like one every year, pretty much.
They've started releasing one every year recently, which I don't know how to feel about because I don't think it's really needed. But I mean,
really.
it's all right. They seem like decent games.
Also, might I just kindly mention that Sea of Thieves is getting DLC, which really should have been there back when it launched.
Oh boy, releasing Sea of Thieves DLC after the abominable start. Ooh, that was just...
I feel so unbelievably sorry for Rare.
I'm sure it has its fan base.
Rare had...
It's actually sold quite well. So.
Rare was in such good hands with Nintendo and everything, and considering what Microsoft had done to them with Grabbed by the Ghoulies selling like garbage and them completely destroying Banjo-Kazooie, and then being brought on to developing Kinect games which nobody bought, which just made their reputation even lower.
You see, it feels like they're trying to sort of move on from things they have done before, but it's not really worked, and they've spent a lot of time doing that.
I suppose it's sort of a step in the right direction, because a pirate game is sort of linking back to, the very charming 1990s games that they... Like, a pirate game sounds like something that would fit perfectly on the N64, but, it's going back to their roots, and I am seeing improvement, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Mm.
I think really Microsoft just needs to sort of give them more stuff to do, because, I don't know, right now Rare are just being wasted. That's such a fantastic studio. And they're just not getting anything at all.
Yeah, you see, the nostalgia aspect is quite a big thing nowadays, because we've just had the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and the Spiral one coming out, so it's a bit of a shame not to see them sort of jumping on that bandwagon with some of their older properties. I think we forgot to talk about something very important. Devil May Cry 5 was announced.
Yes, that's a big one. Yeah.
That was a really nice moment actually to see the crowd give such a good response. There's such a warm feeling when that title was showcased, definitely.
Yeah. The crowd was absolutely fantastic, I think, at this conference, and it's really good to see Devil May Cry coming back, because really there hasn't been a new one in like 10 years or something. Has it been 10 years or?
Yeah, well, he said he's only making it because he at the end of the day really wanted to. So
yeah, it's something the fans have sort of been wanting for a while.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
And they're all good games as well. So yeah, I'm very happy with this, and I'm looking forward to it.
And finally, Dying Light 2 was a bit of a surprise. That didn't get leaked beforehand, which is quite surprising. But I don't think that'll be out for a long time yet, by the looks of it. I think it's in its early stages. But Dying Light 2 is on its way.
I mean, I never personally played Dying Light. It was just something that never caught my interest when it came out. But from what they showed here, from still being an open world first person style game, but also still having very similar Quantic Dream Telltale-esque elements where you're still able to choose your path and basically just decide what the outcome of your story is going to be. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting ideas from there, and it is sort of making me think, you know what, maybe I should try the first game out, actually.
Yeah. There's like a Game of the Year edition I see on the store quite a lot. So, yeah, about 20 quid, so I might check it out. Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
There was one other title that I was also particularly quite interested in, and yeah, it's obviously not saying much to people, but it's kind of important to me because I'm a huge fan of this series, and, it's a new story's being told, and it's a prequel that's going to be free to play, but, it's the prequel to Life is Strange 2, The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit.
Yeah, see, I still haven't checked out Life is Strange, so I don't know. What
Life is Strange is a fantastic game. It's a really, really good game. I genuinely absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out. I've got it on PS Plus for free, so I'm definitely going to check it out when I get the time. I just don't have the time at the minute, though.
I mean, I kind of when the game got announced, I had my hopes up for a bit because it had the Square Enix logo come up, and I was like, wait, what is this? And then I heard the indie music, and I was like, wait, is this what I think it is? And then the Don't Nod Entertainment logo came up, and I basically had a seizure. And then I was realizing, oh wait, it's just a prequel game. So I was kind of let down a little bit, but considering it's still having that same feel and that same charm and it being free to play. Yeah, it probably won't last longer than, well, I'm guessing an hour, but if it's going to be a prologue to like a whole new story which Don't Nod are developing in the Life is Strange universe, as it's being called now.
Yeah, and also if they're doing it for free, say it was a full-length title, you know, from a business point of view, why should they give it away for free? Whereas if it is a short prequel, you know, go ahead and do it.
I mean, I'm extremely curious to see what's going to be coming out of it, and I get that some people won't be hyped for it, and I know very well that Life is Strange has always had sort of a mixed reaction, you know, with all things considered. But, I can't wait to relive Life is Strange again.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be a prequel. It's going to be set in the same universe, but I think they did say in the Square Enix conference, so we'll come back to this, but I think they did say that it's not going to really have anything to do with Life is Strange as such. It's just going to be set in the same universe, which means we're going to have some kind of like Avengers game with Captain Spirit, Chloe, or Max, I guess, and a bunch of other characters all in the same universe.
Are they going to have the same cringy dialogue?
Yep. And then they're all trying to, I don't know, defeat Thanos or something.
You should have gone for the head.
Anyway, the next thing that was announced, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. I don't know if I
basically Dark Souls Chinese edition.
Yep. This looks interesting. I think.
Okay.
We don't know much about it. There's only a gameplay trailer was announced, but I quite like the look of this.
I mean, I don't honestly have much to say because I have no preference with Dark Souls whatsoever. I tried the first game, I just could not be arsed with it because it was kicking my ass all the time.
Yeah, so it's not my thing. Role-playing kind of stuff, or fantasy stuff has never... It's like Lord of the Rings I've never been interested in at all, or Harry Potter, so yeah, it's not my thing.
I am quite interested with what Sekiro is going to introduce because, you know, it looked quite beautiful from a graphical standpoint. It's still keeping the same gameplay that a lot of people come to expect from Software. I imagine it'll be a pain in the ass to play still, but at least it's good to know that the Dark Souls fan base will still have games in the vein of stuff like Bloodborne, where it will still have that same gameplay style. So, you know, good on them.
Okay, and speaking of things we don't care much about, PUBG DLC, if anyone?
Fuck off.
No, thank you.
No, please, no.
I don't have much to say on this. I haven't really played PUBG.
No, I haven't. It's not my thing again. I'm not really into big shootery multiplayer stuff. I like my single player story stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely the same. I just kind of think like obviously PUBG came out stupidly glitchy, and now it's just trying to and then Fortnite came out and just wiped its ass because it actually fucking worked. And now
I have plenty to talk about when I get to the Nintendo
I can see the textures. Whoa. Like
that. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, can I just add one more thing before we just end this off, actually? There's one other game I want to talk about. I guess we'll probably go more into depth with it once we get into Square Enix, but can we just have one brief mention for Kingdom Hearts 3 and how that frozen world just makes me want to die?
Absolutely, because it does me too. It looks pretty,
Yeah.
But and then they've also got Captain Jack in there as well from Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a very odd choice. I think.
Let's leave that for Sony for now.
Kingdom Hearts is kind of the original Marvel Cinematic world for Disney characters, really, isn't it?
In a way, yeah. In a way,
yeah.
Yeah, mixing Final Fantasy and Disney. Right. So Sony.
They started. Boys.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one.
Okay, so they started this off in a church.
Yes.
It was actually quite an interesting change of pace. The past Sony conferences, we've always seen it in like this big grand theatre, so to see it in this little church, it was a change of pace, but one I felt was a lot more authentic and intimate. So, good start.
Yeah, absolutely.
This wasn't necessary though.
Yeah.
I just did the rest of a normal conference anyway. I think I should have just done a normal one. but like the smaller
In a way,
announcements from what they did on like the YouTube live streams, like the Days Gone release date and stuff like that in the conference instead. I would have done personally.
I get what you're saying there. I think it's better for the people who actually attended, but for us
Probably.
watching it meant that after the event we had to have a 20-minute intermission. But before you get to that, they brought out the composer for The Last of Us, who played the banjo a little bit, and that was pretty groovy.
And then quite long
I really want to talk about this game a lot, because now that we're on the subject, this has been my most anticipated game of the entire of E3, but let's go talk into The Last of Us 2.
The Last of Us Part 2. The gameplay, it looked fantastic.
I was going to say how the AI, they look under the car and, in the demo. So the AI is smart. They know where to look for you, which is really good. And that's something we don't really see in games quite a lot. A lot of the time, the AI just sort of stands there until you get up and do a takedown on it.
Yeah.
But here it looked a lot more smart and a lot more responsive to what you were doing, which is quite innovative.
You also have to kind of take into consideration that The Last of Us, the first game, came out about 5 years ago. So when they showed off this gameplay for the first time, it wasn't really too different to what we've seen before. But like you said before, the AI seemed to be a lot more realistic. There seemed to be a bit more to do. It's still keeping what was still there, but it's, improving on things, adding a bit more. And you know what? It looked fantastic. It looked so realistic and engaging. This is what Naughty Dog is at their best, really.
It looks like more of the same, but I think that's not something I'm going to complain about, because the first game was absolutely amazing.
I think it's also just a really good thing that the game's focusing on a much older Ellie this time around, instead of the 14-year-old that we know. It's now focusing on a 19-year-old iteration of Eddie, and it's not much from what they show, because it's set in the exact same church that, what introduced the PlayStation conference, and how we meet this new character who's supposedly a girlfriend now. And it isn't necessarily much, but it is just a good reminder that, this is still the same character. Neil Druckmann's still working on it. It's just everything that I love about Naughty Dog at its finest, at its best. Gimme it, gimme it, gimme it, gimme it, gimme it, gimme it now.
Okay, that's about all I can really say. So then we go into a 20 minutes, probably more than that, but a
short intermission.
A little intermission with some interviews and stuff.
With Meredith Molinari. She's lovely though. I like watching the PlayStation on YouTube for Meredith.
Absolutely, yeah. And we get a Call of Duty maps pre-order pack.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
And then we got Call of Duty Black Ops 3 coming to PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I've already downloaded it, and Matt's going to keep me busy over the summer, which is good.
Nobody cares.
And then we get a new Tetris trailer, which is okay. It's Tetris, but okay, fair enough.
It looks a lot more psychedelic, which could be an interesting approach.
I might as well just add this in as this part of the show, but obviously this intermission was made just so they could get all the people who were attending the conference out of the church and back into, the theatre, the traditional E3 theatre. And you could tell that they were sort of overestimated how long it would take to host all these people in. So they're always telling us it'll be a short intermission in major quotes, and just trying to fill in time and just, make sure that the viewers aren't clicking away or anything. It felt really, really, really forced.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the presenters did the best with what they got, but it was a bit awkward and altogether unnecessary as well. I don't think it would have been much different if they just had the conference and then the smaller stuff on the conference as well, like the Days Gone release day, as I said before, and the stuff they announced in the week. I would think so as well.
Probably would have been better.
I thought I could feel that Sony were losing real interest in Days Gone, because
shame.
They've already showed the game off in 2 prior E3s, and they were heavily gameplay based. And at the same time, the game doesn't look that good.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a bit of a sleeper hit, I think.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think it's lacking the creativity factor at the moment.
We also get a new trailer for Days Gone, which
the world comes for you. It said.
It looks a bit like a generic zombie game to me, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
There was also one game that they actually revealed immediately after the intermission that I really liked, and they didn't tell us who it was developed by until right at the very end, which infinitely got me from slightly curious to really excited.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
That's Ghost of Tsushima, developed by our Lord and Savior Sucker Punch.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my god, that's Ghost of Tsushima. That game looks so good. And
yeah,
you even said to me, Carl, at the time, it looks like a bit like Sly Cooper. And, well, I can see why.
I said it looked like a Sly Cooper game mixed with a bit of Uncharted and made in China.
Well, I can see where the Sly Cooper came from, because
see, it looked to me like a good For Honor, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Sucker Punch. I liked Infamous Second Son. And I think the setting they've got for it is quite smart. We don't see a lot of action games based in the past or in Japan. So I reckon it could do pretty well, actually. And the gameplay looks good as well. Obviously not finished, but I think we're still very early on. I don't think we'll be seeing it in 2019. I think it might be sort of early 2020 it comes out.
Yeah, I think the setting is the most interesting thing about this game, really.
I mean, the way that I look at it, yes, it does still look very early in development, and it does feel kind of like a cheese, considering that it's been a whole 4 years since we heard anything from Sucker Punch once Second Son debuted, and it did feel a little off. But now that we know that they're back and they got a whole new IP coming on, I'm excited to see what they got coming up. Just the fact that Sucker Punch is working on something again makes me hyped. Let's just hope that it stays consistently interesting once we know more about it in the coming years or months. Who knows?
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so my highlight of the show was definitely my most anticipated game of 2018 and the conference itself, and that is Spider-Man. I absolutely can't wait for this. Really can't.
Oh, absolutely. Spider-Man.
It looks like a little bit like an Arkham game. But with Spider-Man, but that's exactly what I want, to be honest. That's exactly what I want. So I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
I've already pre-ordered the special edition with like the art book and stuff in case it sells out. So I can't wait for that. It's going to be good.
It looks sort of like a mixture of, Batman Arkham City and stuff like that, but it also at the same time still feels almost very much like Spider-Man 2 the game as well, just with the whole concept of you still feel like you're Spider-Man swinging around in this city, and I like how they're having a good variety between, obviously, the free swinging fun stuff that everybody will probably spend hours doing, but at the same time, there's still going to be some really engaging gameplay with the Arkham fighting style and all these missions. And
there's quite a few sort of quick time stuff in there as well, just to vary it up a little bit, which is a good.
Even the introduction of this new bad guy that looks pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, Spider-Man to me, when they first showed it off, I was like, oh, okay, it's just another Spider-Man game. Then they showed off the gameplay last E3, and I was like, okay, now I'm interested in this. I need this game.
Yeah.
And now this is just sort of built off of that, really. And yeah, Spider-Man to me is a game I'm absolutely looking forward to.
I didn't expect them to work on the game for quite as long as they were going to, especially since the game's right around the corner. It's debuting in September, so I thought they would just sort of acknowledge that the game was still coming out, not give like a full presentation on it. But you know what? I don't care. It looks really fun. I'm excited. I'm definitely picking it up. Feed me, Insomniac.
Well, hopefully it won't let us down.
Yeah. And what do you guys think of Control?
Oh, I was just about to mention this. I can't wait because I flipping loved Alan Wake, and this looks a little bit like that, but more sci-fi based rather than sort of like a Stephen King novel like Alan Wake was. But I'm still very excited to see what it's like because I love Remedy. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Very much so.
It's a bit of a weird story for me because I didn't know that Remedy was developing it until right at the end. Because even when the trailer was playing and it showed a lot of these cool concepts, a part of me was thinking, this looks really a lot like Quantum Break. And that was a bit of a weird thing for me because honestly, I didn't really like Quantum Break all that much. It had some really good gameplay, but the story didn't interest me. I thought the characters and the writing were kind of dull, and the whole TV show aspect just really killed the pace and the mood for me.
I can see where you're going with the Quantum Break stuff, but I think it looks quite intriguing, and I'm looking forward to seeing more.
But at the same time, the concept still sort of interests me just based on what we're seeing. And considering it now looks like Remedy's no longer, directly linked to just making games for Microsoft now, I'm quite excited to see what they're doing with it. I'd like to see a bit more in the future until I'm fully convinced of what I'm seeing, but I'm still looking forward to it. I'll give it a good shot.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay.
And next up released was Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
That was quite a surprise.
I believe this is going to be a remake of the game of the same name for PlayStation.
Yeah.
This I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I felt it was a little bit weird that we were getting another Resident Evil game, even if it was just a remake quite soon, especially since we only just got Resident Evil 7 last year. But I don't really care because Resident Evil 2 is a fantastic game.
Yeah, exactly. Probably won't be full price either, so it's probably well worth picking up when it comes out. 25th of January, I've got written down there. So it's not too far away.
Yeah, it's very close. Well, pretty close. But yeah, like...
Just a brief acknowledgement that Neo 2 exists.
Yeah. I don't know. I know very little about that, because it's not my kind of game. But fair play to those who do like it.
Yeah.
If they're doing a second one, people must have loved the first one, so it's a fair play.
Absolutely. But yeah. It'll be cool to see Resident Evil, back to Resident Evil. It'd be cool to see it like without the glitchy camera controls of the PS1 version. Because now obviously we've got the dual analog sticks and now obviously with Resident Evil 4 coming along and just completely changing up everything about the original games. It'd be cool to see what they do with that now.
Yeah.
There's just one more game I really want to discuss. I have a gut feeling that it'll probably be the last game that we'll be looking at, but
I think I have not. I think I know what this is going to be.
Let's end with this one.
Let's really get deep into just talking about Hideo Kojima's magnum opus keeps Quantum. Death Stranding.
That's the one.
Yeah, Death Stranding.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue whatsoever as to what was going on. But I think that's the point. I think it's supposed to be quite cryptic until it sort of comes out.
I don't think he wants to reveal anything until you get it and play it for yourself. I've heard some people speculate that it's kind of like what he had left of the Silent Hills game before he went lol no.
Yeah, it looks a little bit Silent Hill. Looks to me like there's the central story is like a bloke stranded on like an island, and his family. I think his family have died. By the looks of it, we saw quite a lot of pictures of his family. But this one is obviously quite twisted, so there's like quite a lot of creatures about and things like that. I think that's about all we can go on for now, though. Sort of like an upside down Bioshock Island sort of place. It's a cool trailer though.
If there's one thing I think is really going to come out of Death Stranding, at the end of the day, even the gameplay doesn't really look like much, with most of it just being walking around environments and just sort of taking in the atmosphere and the scenery as the story takes hold. But at the end of the day, now I'm looking at it, it's definitely not going to be for everyone. It's probably one of the most experimental video games I've came across in quite a long time.
It's really refreshing though to see something quite of this level of experimentality. Getting such high, like, just getting viewed in such a positive light and getting so much attention.
Even what Hideo Kojima has accomplished thus far and getting such a great cast, like we got Mads Mikkelsen coming in, Norman Reedus is obviously playing the main character. We all know very well that Guillermo del Toro is going to be a character in it since he was showed off at the last year's E3 or the Game Awards. I can't quite remember. And even Leah Seydoux, who actually just got introduced, which sort of blew my mind. I was like, how the hell did they get her? There's so much, there's so much enthusiasm for it. There's so much backing behind it. And I'm so happy that Sony's just letting Hideo Kojima just have the creative freedom to make the game he wants to make. Other than Konami, that just really bit him in the ass, especially near the end of Metal Gear 5's development cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like, this is a game that I'm very, very, very much looking forward to. Very much.
Yeah. I don't know when it will be coming out. Maybe next Christmas, if we're lucky. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, mate.
Yeah, overall, Sony's conference for me was quite good, but it was very short.
Same for me. It was decent. Nothing more, nothing less, really. I think I would have preferred a traditional conference with the smaller announcements built in, rather than this sort of odd format, which was a good idea but wasn't executed that well. But like, the quality of the trailers and demos was brilliant, and a lot of games here looked really good, so it was still worth watching. But I don't think it's as good as other years have been.
I could tell that the presentation could be a lot better, especially since they really underestimated how long it would take to get all of the audience from one place to another and everything. But the way that I see it, there was barely any new things really announced, but it didn't really care because Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, Spider-Man, these were all games that I've been super excited for, and the fact that we got to see more of them, I was just so unbelievably satisfied, even despite how short-lived it all really was. Believe me, the next team we're talking about has a really big problem with that. But I was still happy with what we got.
Yes.
Okay. So now the next one we're going to be talking about is Nintendo.
Oh no.
Nintendo.
No.
What a banger.
Absolutely. Fun fact, there are versions of that song on YouTube that are longer than this conference. Absolute rip. But yeah, no, Nintendo, this is the one I was most hyped about.
And the most let down by.
Absolutely. This was not amazing in the slightest.
It was actually pretty mediocre.
It was quite boring, really. I found it quite boring. Didn't hold my interest very well.
So yeah, they came out and started with Daemon X Machina.
Yeah.
What the hell was that game about?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was like a sort of JRPG style game, wasn't it?
Was it? I still don't quite know what to make of it. It was such a weirdly edited and executed trailer that I could barely even take in.
Yeah, sort of like odd pre-cut footage, just sort of edited together. No sort of continuity. That's odd.
Yeah.
It looked like a tag game to me.
I quite like the art style. I think that sort of cel-shaded style, it does age very well. Like it looks beautiful all the time, which is what I love. But yeah, then they announced some DLC for Xenoblade.
I have no experience with Xenoblade.
Yeah.
I'll let you take it in
since
I know you're a massive Xenoblade fan.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I haven't actually played X, but Xenoblade Chronicles is spectacular. Like, very, very good.
Mm-hmm. I always wanted the first one on Wii, but I never did get it, unfortunately.
It's annoying because the one on the Wii is so expensive because it's so rare. Project Rainfall happened, which was the project to get a bunch of RPGs onto the Nintendo Wii, but I don't know. It's so rare. They're all extremely rare, and if you want to get them in on physical copy, it's going to be a lot. Fortunately, we have got the new 3DS version, so that sort of does compensate a bit. So you can at least still play it.
I remember when the first one came out, I asked for it for Christmas, so it was like this edition with like a red controller, and it was sold out, unfortunately, so I had to pick a different game instead. I went for, I can't remember, I think it was Epic Mickey that year I went for.
That's actually not a bad game.
Yeah, that turned out pretty well, actually. I quite liked it anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, after this, Reggie comes out and introduces the Pokeball Plus, which,
My
if you
lord
guys
and
have
savior.
played Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it's a very similar concept to the Pokewalker.
Is it Pokemon Go, just not on a mobile?
In a way, but you sort of like you go walking with your Pokemon, and then it just sort of you can level them up and stuff.
Oh, so it's
looks
like
like
it's like a Fitbit then.
a little bit,
I
yeah.
haven't seen this one.
Yeah, it's coming along with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee.
Okay.
And
it's a bit of a weird situation to me because, like, do you remember when Pokemon Go came out that they were really hyping up this Pokemon Go Plus, which was like this little Pokeball thing that just sort of never came to be? Is that what this Pokeball thing is for Pokemon Let's Go, or am I don't know.
Maybe I'm not entirely sure what they're planning with this, honestly. But I mean, it looks pretty cool. I mean, I might pick it up with Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee, whichever one I decide to get.
I am going to wait till the reviews come out until I consider whether or not I'll get that game, because even though I'm always up for more Pokemon, at the end of the day, the overall Pokemon Go style format, rather than the general RPG-ness that we know for Pokemon to be. I mean, maybe I'll buy it, but I'd rather know what people think before I'm really convinced that I should pick it up, really.
Yeah,
same.
It's a lot of money as well. So, it's wise.
Yeah. Next up was a new Mario Party game.
And it actually looks good!
It looks okay, but then again, I want to say that, but previously, they haven't exactly delivered.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell with the popularity of the Switch that they were trying to make Mario Party a much more of a casual experience rather than a hardcore that's ruined friendships experience that it always sort of was. You kind of get me?
There is a market for it, but
Mario Party 10 was a bit.
It's all the same, isn't it? To be honest, same old stuff.
If there's one thing I'll give this new Mario Party a lot of credit for, is that it's finally getting rid of that horrible kart crap and going back to the tabletop style.
That's a good thing, because Mario Party 10 was just terrible. The top 100 was really bad. So yeah, I'm glad that they're going back to their roots with this. And
the overall quality of the game is probably going to be led up to the imagination. It'll be a very similar case to Pokemon Let's Go, where I'll need to hear what people say before I'm convinced. But you know what? Mario Kart Party's coming back in the way that it was supposed to. And you know what? If it's good, hell yeah, I'm getting it.
Absolutely. Okay, next up was a new Fire Emblem game. Fire Emblem has been a series that hasn't been interested to me, but I don't know.
I don't honestly have much to say in the matter. Fire Emblem, I understand that it has its fans, but it's definitely within like a area of Nintendo where its audience is definitely a lot more niche. It's not like Mario or Zelda or Metroid or Pokemon, where it has a lot more of a bigger and active fan base, really.
Absolutely.
But from what was shown off, it still looks like it could be fun. I have zero interest in it, but I can still tell from what we've seen that it's a competently made and potentially fun-looking game.
It looks...
Awakening on the 3DS was really good.
Yeah, Awakening is one game I really want to sort of... Because I played the demo, and that's a game I really want to get. It's a series I want to get into. It does look really good, definitely. Next up, Fortnite, anyone?
Why?
Yeah, again, not my thing. But it's very popular, so other people will enjoy it. But I have zero interest.
It's free on the Switch now, if you guys want to download it. It's funny because the night before this conference was the Bethesda conference, and my friend was joking to me about Fortnite being on the Switch, and then this happened.
It happened. No.
Yep.
I get that Fortnite has its fans, but it's the definition of way too popular for its own good and has one god-awful fan base. Ain't my thing. It's on Switch. If you want it, get it. I'm sure you'll have a blast. I'm staying the hell away.
Yeah. Same with me.
Next up, they announced a few eShop titles like Overcooked and Killer Queen Black.
Yeah. Overcooked, the first one, I think won an award actually. I think it was Best Family Game at the Golden Joysticks, I think it must have been, or the BAFTA
That's cool.
Games. But yeah, that was really critically
People are very much
acclaimed.
looking forward to it.
So might be worth checking
So
out.
I want to see if it is any good or not. I'll give it a try.
I mean, if I will give Nintendo credit
Yeah.
for anything, it's like, even though I don't have much interest in their eShop titles, at the end of the day, I like how there's a lot more quality control of their indie titles in particular, because when you compare it to Steam, which is more or less the dumping ground for a lot of obviously shittily made indie games that are just made by people that I made in a couple days and they charge full price for it.
In their bedroom, no less.
Yeah, but it's the sense of, like, Nintendo, they obviously handpick all the indie games that they're going to put in there, so they clearly know that if we're going to put some indie shit on our eShop, they better be good. So at least we know we're getting some stuff that's of their seal of approval.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would have liked to see a new Professor Layton, because I love them games. The third one especially, where it was like to do with like time travelling. The Lost Future. That was brilliant. I loved that. One of my fondest memories is playing that. And a new Animal Crossing.
I know for a lot of people broke people's hearts that it wasn't shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing for Switch needs to happen. I don't know when it will, but I'm sure it will. So next up was Octopath Traveler.
I have zero interest. Just no interest, really. Sure, it has its fans.
Yeah.
No.
I'm struggling to remember what one it was, so that's a clear sign that it's not caught my attention.
Yeah, it's not. It's really. Like, my biggest thing about Nintendo is they showed all of this at E3. Like, it just feels like another just another direct.
That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like...
Yeah, you'd want something special, wouldn't you? Like a big reveal to go on, but we didn't really get that, which is a shame. We just got stuff you'd expect and then stuff, again, we're struggling to engage with.
If you want to really show something big at E3, then you've really got... That's where the expectations are set up really high, so you really got to bring your A game. Like, even with Sony, even though they didn't show a lot, they just showed a hell of a lot more of what was already there, so it still felt satisfying overall.
Yeah, I mean, again, I would have liked to see a new Professor Layton, personally, but we didn't get that, and we didn't get another Animal Crossing, and a couple of others we didn't get, so bit of a shame. But life will go on, and I'm sure they've got something else. I really want a Switch, but I just can't afford one at the minute, obviously. And I don't really have the time to play both Switch and PS4 either, but I would really like one. And so for that, Nintendo.
We might as well talk. We might as well talk about this game now, since it's the only one to talk about. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Anyone?
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. Obviously, I haven't got Switch, so I can't play it, but...
Every character is back in it.
I loved Brawl. Brawl was brilliant.
Brawl was amazing.
That's the last one I got. I didn't get the 3DS one.
But yeah, like, every single character is back, and I love that.
I used to like playing as Diddy Kong. I love Diddy Kong. Diddy Kong Racing is so underrated.
Diddy Kong Racing's a fantastic
really
game.
Good game. Really good game.
I'm just sort of really happy that it seems that they're trying to improve a lot was already established on Super Smash Bros. On Wii U. Because if there was one problem I had with Super Smash Bros. On Wii U, is that even though it wasn't a bad game whatsoever, in fact it was a near excellent game, it's just that when you compare it to Melee and Brawl, where they really introduced a lot of new things, it just sort of felt like, oh, hello, there's a new Smash Bros. Here you go, bye-bye.
Yeah, for me the controls were a little bit complicated. But then it's hard on a Wii because there's like 2 buttons and then the rest you move the controller, so what else are you going to do?
Which is why I use the GameCube controller. Which is something
that would really help.
I'm very, very much glad that they brought back the GameCube controller support, because thank you.
I'd quite like to see another GoldenEye 007 remake on the Switch as well. That'd be cool.
Decent.
It's never going to happen.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say, really.
MGM Studios owns the rights to that game. It's never, ever, 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 ever going to happen.
Yeah, because it was rare.
We can dream. Simpsons Hitman 2, anyone? Come on, we can hope.
I wish.
I think we all wish.
I kind of don't want another one as well though, because we're so fond of the first one. If they made another one and it didn't turn out to be the same, it would tarnish it a bit. So I'm still quite happy with the original one, to be honest.
It's a bit of a weird one with Super Smash Bros. Really, because they spent a huge chunk of time with it. You know, bringing Masahiro Sakurai in, and talking about all the new characters, all the new moves, all the new maps that were going to be introduced. And I was really excited and happy with what I was being seen. Yeah. But at the same time, it was just sort of the case of, can we move to something else, please?
So yeah, every stage and every character is coming back into this version, which is absolutely great for me. The starting roster is very small, which I know that might annoy people because there's that whole, you put the disc in and then play the game off factor of the new of the old Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS, and that's obviously that can't be done. But I like the small roster. I like the idea of constantly adding characters. I'm just hoping this game will have like a Subspace Emiracy 2, just have most of the characters like there, so you can unlock them all of them quite easily.
I'm excited as hell. It's sort of unfortunate that it's not really coming back, but at the same time, that was always sort of Brawl's thing more than anything else. I would love to see another story mode quite like it. It's never going to happen. I doubt they would find anything interesting story-wise to tell. But, it stood out. I'm not really too fussed about it. That's not really what Smash has been to me. But, if people...
Yeah. So some games you don't play for the story, And Smash Bros.
Exactly. It's all meant to be about multiplayer fun. Bring your friends and have some beer and, just go nuts.
Yeah. It's for mucking around in as well. So, yeah. Yeah.
And what was it you said to me after this? You might as well just end the conference there because you've shown everything off. And they did.
If you thought that Sony's conference didn't go well and felt a bit short, Nintendo basically said, "Hold my beer."
It was
and that was it.
Except for the fact that Ridley is going to be in Smash Brothers.
It just sort of ended completely out of nowhere, and it just sort of went to Nintendo Treehouse Live.
Okay, so the Ridley announcement, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I was expecting a bigger reveal.
Ridley's been one that the fans have been asking for ages, but I've always just kind of thought he just looks too big, and
yeah,
he is.
Fair enough. Needs to lose weight. Slim
give him some Slim Fast.
Yeah.
Like in
Weight Watchers dessert. Them really rank low fat ones.
Like in Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS, they put him as a boss character for one of the Metro stages, and that worked, I think, because he had his size, and that was brilliant. But now they've shrunk him down so much. It's just like
he's not the same character anymore.
No.
Just no.
Plus, I think he just looks like ass generally.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a bit of a Metroid fan, so I've got opinions on this.
It doesn't really bother me too much since I'm not really familiar with Metroid at all, and I know that in particular with you, Ned, like you were probably one of the only people I know that was dissatisfied with Ridley, because I know for a fact that a lot of people were really excited and were generally really impressed with Ridley. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from that.
Yeah. And that's about it for Nintendo's. They just stopped it there.
That's the biggest problem. They just sort of stopped when they were at their highest.
Yeah. I just found it quite dull, and there wasn't really anything what caught my interest. I would still like a Switch, so, it's not all bad. Nintendo managed to convince me of something, but it's just the games themselves quite lacking. what it could have been.
So just to me personally, the way that I see it, that considering that the Nintendo Switch launched last year and it just sort of exploded out of nowhere, and we had great games like Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, mini ports like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Skyrim, LA Noire, Doom. Like, it just had an amazing first year, and it just doesn't feel the same now in 2018.
Yeah, they've done really, really well over the past year. Like, they've supported the hell of it.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of keep adding content as well to all their games, just to make them worth a little bit more. Which is really good
I suppose it includes it for me with Nintendo. It started off pretty mediocre, became really strong, and then just ended dead in the hole.
Basically, yeah. So really, Microsoft was probably the best conference of the big three.
Yeah, it's the one I enjoyed the most, for sure, yeah.
Sony's was okay, and Nintendo's was a bit crap.
Yeah.
Sony definitely didn't have a lot to show, but they were the ones that entertained me the most overall, because I was always the most interested in their games especially.
Yeah, I mean, Spider-Man was brilliant.
I can agree that Microsoft probably had the better show, since there was more to offer and there was more for a wider range of audiences. But for me, I love my third-person cinematic PS4 games, so shut up and let me enjoy them.
Xbox did a good job of having something for everyone as well, which is really good.
Yeah.
Nintendo, what the hell?
Yeah, that's probably the one I liked the most.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say. It was a generally kind of mixed show for me overall. Just when you take in all three shows into consideration, because all three of them are on completely different levels of quality. It starts out really well with Microsoft. It's a relatively okay show with Sony, and then it just really hits dead at the bottom of the heap with Nintendo.
And that's probably gonna do it for this episode. We will be recording the next one in a couple of days, and that'll be out quite soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. So I've been Ned. Say goodbye, guys.
Hey, bye, peeps.
Goodbye, everyone. Out there in the world. I've been Jacob. Thanks for listening. We'd love to know your thoughts as well. Get in touch with your podcast and let us know what you thought.
Leave your thoughts in the comments, and that should be it. So I don't know how to sign off.
Spider-Man, I'm fucking go away. Right, okay, so I just have to get that out of the way.
And that's how we're going to end this. Okay.